I just want to press you a little bit on that. Russell Moore is an evangelical leader of Christianity Today who is
Sure.
critical of Trump, said after the verdict, character matters. I think that's something you've expressed in the past too. So can those two things, how do you hold those two things together? The question of character, the Christian idea of forgiveness and sin. Um, do you agree with Russell Moore when he says that?
Yeah, and I've said it myself, but and I just said it.
Yeah.
I just said it 90 seconds ago. Character does matter, and individual voters will make those assessments.
Yeah.
But I think that the idea that either voters of faith or all voters disqualify someone
Right.
um, because of moral failings in the past is just out of step with who the American people are. I think it misapprehends and misunderstands the very forgiving and gracious character of the American people. And by the way, I'm not particularizing that to Donald Trump.
Right.
I mean, Bill Clinton's issues were well known.
Hmm.
Michael, he was elected by 2 landslides. Um, Grover Cleveland was elected in the 19th century when Protestant churches flamed with Jeremiads denouncing his immoral character because he had fathered a child
Right.
out of wedlock when he was governor of New York. Guess what? He was elected. So I think voters make a very nuanced um, and very complicated differentiation between private character and public character. And in the case of Donald Trump, if he kept his promise to appoint conservative judges, which he did, if he kept his promise to be pro Israel and move the embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem, which he did, if he kept his promise to defund Planned Parenthood and be the most pro life president in US history, voters are very sophisticated beings. They look at it and they go, you know what? I'm not voting for this person to
Hmm.
be my daughter's husband or to be my pastor. I'm voting for president. He's eminently qualified. He's eminently capable. He shares my values. He will advance my public policy views. And keep in mind that when people focus this conversation only on President Trump, they ignore the other candidate.
Right.
You know, Joe Biden has a son who's on trial this week for unrelated charges related to lying on a gun purchasing form. But the tens of millions of dollars that his son took from China, from Ukraine, from other foreign countries with business that were before Joe Biden when he was vice president and have been in front of Joe Biden as president.
Right.
Let's be clear about this. This has no precedent in the history of our country. No family has accepted tens of millions of dollars, in some cases from hostile foreign powers, that were then funneled through offshore accounts and into shell corporations. And voters are looking at that and going, well, what about Joe Biden's character? So they weigh these things, and at the risk of stating the obvious, Michael, these things tend to be, what a shock, filtered through the lenses of their partisan political views.
Right.
And that's true of all voters. It's not just true of voters of faith.